Good morning and welcome to How Forgiveness Works. Today we're going to be talking about how to use the feeling wheel as a path of forgiveness. And so last week we had a question about, we were talking about family secrets and generational issues and how they play out in our lives and how the first 2 years of life, starting from conception, so it's basically from conception to 18 months of age, is this hugely significant time for learning how to behave emotionally. And so oftentimes as adults, we are frustrated with these feelings that don't seem to have any kind of reason, and we kind of go around the merry-go-round again and again, facing the same kinds of issues and not knowing how to get out. And so the question we ended with last week was, how do we deal with these issues that we may not even know what they are? And it was a really good question, and so today we're going to talk about that.
So great to be here and see all of you here today. What a cool opportunity this is. So today we're talking about the feeling wheel and how it relates to forgiveness. And the feeling wheel, if you look on the floor in front of you,
or
on the screen,
yeah,
you will see one of the tools that we use probably more than any other tool in our private coaching practice. And so when we use this feeling wheel, we end up having some pretty cool things out of it that we didn't even realize were part of it. We made it, and we put it together, and we said, oh, this is cool, and we started using it and having people have some pretty awesome experiences where they would be feeling anger, and then they would work through their forgiveness, and they would come out feeling respected on the other side of the wheel. And what we discovered because of that was that most of the feelings on the top of the wheel, when people would work through them, they would end up on the opposite side of the wheel. So if you drew a line across the wheel, you would see what that would look like. So if you were experiencing feelings of guilt and condemnation, you would go across the wheel and you would be experiencing awareness and alertness. And another example would be if you were feeling a lot of anxiety and then moving through forgiveness, on the other side of that would be contentment. And so as we kept seeing our clients move through and have that experience where it was on the opposite side, we were able to then look at the south side of the wheel, the bottom side of the wheel, and say, okay, your goal is to feel worthwhile. And so what you need to be working on is your frustration. And let us help you move through your frustration, through forgiveness, and into feelings of obviously worthwhile, but even empowerment, that whole green wedge when you work through that frustration piece on the top side.
And so to really fully understand how this works, we have to begin with how memory works. And imagine putting the pen down in the middle of a piece of paper and making a giant swirl. It's going around and around, bigger and bigger each time you go around. That's kind of how memory is laid down in our minds. It's not a very great model, accurate. It's not completely accurate neurologically, but it helps us understand, right? So we start at conception and we start laying down memories. Imagine on a DVD or a CD, and it keeps every year you go around, you lay down more memory. Well, when there are glitches in our memory, things that don't make sense, often these are expressed in confusion. If you look at confusion on the wheel, It is at about 2 o'clock outside of controlled. And if you were to fold the wheel in half lengthwise, it would be in the same position as ashamed. What we've come to understand confusion is kind of like a type 4 skin receptor. There are 4 kinds of skin receptors in your skin. There's hot, cold, pain, light touch, and deep pressure. The type 4 is the deep pressure, and when you bump yourself or cut yourself, what do? You put pressure on it, right? Feels a little better, maybe stops the bleeding. It's one of those positive things. And so when we have shame in our lives that we do not or cannot explain, it expresses itself in confusion. And so being aware of that and understanding that there's something going on that I don't understand that is frustrating me, I'm feeling confused, that's a clue. What goes on in these glitches that are often inspired by trauma as we are growing from conception, trauma can be anything as simple as a sibling being born, or mother's postpartum depression, or it could be something that was, everybody else thinks is a positive thing even. But if it changes our situation and we feel like we're not going to get our needs met, there's a glitch. And this is what we talk about, the Dr. Seuss book, Are You My Mama? We kind of go through life looking for those glitches to be resolved, for our confusion to be resolved by asking people to get our needs met. The difficulty is we don't know how to ask often.
If you look at confusion, which is in the orange wedge, you cross over into the peace wedge, through shame, through forgiveness, into the peace wedge. The other side of that is trusting. And a lot of us have had some experiences from in the womb, our mom's feelings and her experiences, as well as our dad's, up to 2 years old, where we have realized or discovered that we can't trust. And the deal with trust is either when we're arrested in this development, when we have issues and we immediately go to mistrust, that would be arrest and react out of that mistrust place. That's arrested in development. When we are arrested in development in this first stage of development where trust is being built, we have a really hard time either trusting people or we trust people too much. So that's the pendulum swing. Either we're naive and we trust everybody, or we are not trusting of anybody in our lives. And so being able to work through that confusion and know that on the other side of that is trust. Now, does that mean you just start trusting like the whole trust anybody and then see what happens? No. People need to earn trust. So trust is an important conversation, and we can talk more about that at another time.
So, on the wheel, you notice that there is a control abandonment on the top half. The 9 feelings in the middle of the wheel are actually feelings and modes. And so a mode is bigger than a feeling, and it kind of is a position where we often are operating from. So if we are in a control mode, often the trigger is abandonment. And again, control abandonment is typically in most of our relationships until we can get healthy enough to resolve those. And so it's kind of third grade. Boy hits girl, runs away, she chases, right? So he controls and then he abandons. She wants to control, so she chases. And so she catches him or she doesn't catch him and she gives up and goes the other way. So now we're at abandon. So imagine this control abandonment loop kind of flowing back and forth. And every time you come to abandon, you have to make another decision. Do we do this again or do we let it go? We believe that relationships are the world's most renewable resource. This is because we have seen over and over again the impossible. Our own story speaks to the impossible getting healed. And so we often make up that there are things that we cannot forgive or that we won't allow in a relationship. And until we experience those things, we don't really know. And so that control abandonment loop, once again, is innervated by fear. If you just look like you're going to control or abandon me, I'm likely to respond in the opposite or sometimes the same mode because of my fear, right? So what we suggest looking at as a practical exercise is to take the wheel, and I put on the nearby chat that there's also an app to help you do this. We made an app. It's in the iTunes store, at the App Store. You have to type in the entire word feeling wheel in order to find it. And it's only in the iPhone apps. It works on an iPad if you download it onto an iPad, but it's only available from the iPhone apps. Anyway, that will remind you a couple times a day to log your feelings. And what we suggest is that you log your feelings 2 or 3 times a day, putting 3 feelings off the wheel onto your tracking. And then look at those after a week or 2 of tracking them and see what sticks out. Do you have a lot of confusion? Do you have a lot of jealousy, frustration? What is the one that kind of stands out to you? We can do an exercise right now with everybody. Pick 3 feelings. It's helpful if you can pick 3 feelings off of the north side of the wheel, ones that are common to you.
That you have felt in the last few days.
Yeah, something current, something that's going on with you. If you can pick 3 feelings off of the north side of the wheel, and I'll just do 3 of mine. I'll do the feelings that I've had. Okay,
the north side is the red, purple, and orange. So it's where the abandonment, fear, and control are. And it's from shame up.
Yeah, we've come to talk about it in north and south because there are no good or bad feelings. There are just feelings. And so the north side is typically what you might call the negative side, the harder side. But truly,
if you were going to look at good and bad, because people often use, when we'll say, how are you feeling, they'll say good or bad. Bad would be the whole top side of the wheel, the whole north side of the wheel, and good would be the bottom side of the wheel or the south side of the wheel where there's peace, power, joy, and love.
Yes. And so, okay, and this is where we make a distinction between 31 Flavors and Cold Stone. These are ice cream shops, right? And so those of you that maybe don't know what Cold Stone is, 31 Flavors is more generic, right? You get 3 flavors of ice cream, you stack them on top of each other. You get 3 different flavors. At Cold Stone, those 3 flavors are mashed together by these giant spoons that the workers use, and you can put crumbles and sprinkles and whatever into your ice cream. So feelings are not 31 Flavors where there's separate feelings. They are kind of more like Cold Stone. They're mashed together. So take those 3 feelings, and I'll give you my 3. I'll just pick ones that when I do this, I try to be as accurate as possible. So let me think about what I've had the last couple of days. I've been frustrated for time, and I've felt, let's see, look at the wheel here. Frustrated, maybe a little anxious, and tired. Those are kind of cop-out feelings because they're so common maybe, but that's really what I've been experiencing. I'm going to pick 3 over the last couple of days that I've had. And so I take those 3, frustrated, anxious, and tired, and I kind of feel them in my body. I smash them together like a Cold Stone ice cream. So it's mixed together. What are those really? What are those like, and where are they in my body? And then as I get a good grip on that, does everybody have theirs? Okay. So what I want to do, this is our newest exercise. Everybody take their 3 north side feelings, and now I want you to clench your fists as hard as you can. Squeeze your fingers into your hand as hard as you can without hurting yourself. And hold it there. Now think about those 3 feelings. Those 3 feelings in your body, where are they? And keep squeezing down hard on your fists. We're going to do this for almost a minute. Keep squeezing, keep squeezing. It should start to hurt a little, start to be a little sore, okay? And while you're doing it, try to keep breathing nice and even. Squeeze down hard. Feel those 3 feelings. Squeeze down hard. Take a deep breath. Squeeze down hard. Now open your hands and relax, palms up. Taking a deep breath. Feeling the feelings. Are they moving? Did they move for you? For me, I kind of feel this anxious, frustrated, tired feeling kind of in my chest, kind of almost in my throat, but not quite. And when I release it like that, I feel it actually moving and releasing out of my body. This is a good practice to go through so that you can identify where those feelings are and how they can move. It's a form of expression. Anytime we can put words to our feelings or something like this where we can see them or feel them move, then they begin to change. They begin to give us a bigger picture of what's going on around us. We often get trapped into these modes of operation in fear, abandonment, or control, or shame, that leave us with very few options in order to navigate and to heal and to grow. And so as we do this, as we get a better grip on these feelings, as you look at your list over the last week or so and see the things that might be coming up more often than you would like, perhaps out of context even, those are the ones that probably are going on since before you were 18 months old. And so the next step then is to learn how to forgive them.
Forgiveness, I know we've talked about this before, but forgiveness is for you. Forgiveness is releasing that control that somebody or some situation has had on you for either a short period of time, long period of time, doesn't matter, but releasing that person or that situation so that you can have freedom. It does not make it okay what maybe the person did to you. It may make it, it doesn't mean that you have to have a relationship with that person after you've forgiven them. It doesn't mean that you are going to have to ever be in any kind of toxic relationship. It just releases you and frees your heart from having that pain, and then also expressing that pain to the people that you love around you when something happens that feels like that trauma you experienced or that hurt that you experienced with someone else or another situation. So the idea is you want to get off the merry-go-round, that merry-go-round that basically is being afraid of being controlled, being afraid of being abandoned, being confused, being really anything on the top side of the wheel where you hit that place over, those feelings over and over and over again. The 3 feelings, your cold stone feelings today, when you're hitting those things over and over and over again, there's something important there. Your body is trying to tell you something. When you feel, when I feel anxious, or I feel afraid, or I feel abandoned, I feel it in my throat and my chest. I feel it. It's tight. I feel choked. So when I start to feel that feeling in my body, sometimes when I'm feeling more in the betrayed or traumatized, that will be more in my stomach or my gut. And when I start to feel those feelings in my body, I know that there's something wrong. And I need to take a gut check. I need to take a heart check. I need to say, okay, take my pulse. What's going on with me right now? Why am I feeling triggered in this place? Do I need to write some forgiveness letters? Do I need to do some journaling? Do I need to do some deep breathing? What do I need to do for self-care so that I don't respond from anger or pain or resentment? And so learning to be more mindful will allow you to release things in a quicker and more appropriate way than maybe you have done in the past.
So understanding how, we've all heard of the fight, flight, or freeze reaction, right? This is the amygdala, traditionally called the amygdala reaction. Well, the latest research is showing that the heart is actually the one that tells the amygdala to fire this response off, to fight, flight, or freeze. And so this is fantastic research done by heartmath.org, really thick scientific studies of how the heart actually, it has this signal that it sends out about 15 feet away, which means at about 30 feet away, our hearts can recognize each other. So the problem is that we go into this reaction based on the old feelings. And that's what we want to find when we start tracking your... Yes, HeartMath work is amazing. We want to track these feelings so that we can find where we want to focus our forgiveness. Now, we've been hesitating about how to share the forgiveness process that we use because we don't want any confusion about it. And so our recommendation is if you want to pursue this, get our book, How Men Make Women Crazy and Vice Versa, Ending the Madness. It's available at Amazon. It's also available at iUniverse. It's available in a digital form. And we actually have an audio book as well, and I believe that's on iTunes. Yes, heartmath.org is correct. They have some really interesting studies published right there on their website about how the heart is actually the lead of this amygdala response, as well as some other interesting things. And so, so digging deep into this forgiveness, we don't have to know the reason why, right? All we have to know is what we're feeling. We talk about the family secrets and the generational issues primarily so that we can kind of understand how they get generated, but that's not required to actually get free from it. And so forgiveness is the key. And using the letter process that's in our book, it's detailed, instructions there. That is the answer. And I wish we had an easier way to get it across to you here, but it just makes it easier if you start there. And it's a very inexpensive book. I think it's $7, $7 US. So it's it doesn't cost a lot. We're not going to get rich because we're hawking this book. We do this work because we are passionate about it. We have to be short today. We just have about 3 minutes for questions. Is there anybody that has any questions? Don't be shy.
Well, for me, I can tell you that there are some situations in my life that forgiveness it's as soon as I move through the process, I feel my feelings and I forgive it. I write the letters and I move through it. It's immediate. I feel relief. I feel like a weight's been lifted off my shoulders. And most of our clients have that experience as well. Then there are other things. For Jamie and I, a real quick, it's not a quick story, but a quick synopsis. We had infidelity in our relationship, and Jamie had an affair with my sister-in-law, and my brother and Jamie were best friends, and we were all good friends. And it took me, as I learned the forgiveness process, I was able to forgive her, but not want anything to do with her and not allow her into my life or my children's lives. And then, and that was 15 and a half years ago. And I did that first. That was the first step. And then about a year later, did some more forgiveness work, some more letting that go, and got into the place where I could be in relationship with her. We could all be together. We could all have holidays together, and I still kept my eye on her, but I definitely was able to feel more at peace. And then a couple years after that, I started feeling actual pity for her and understanding for her. And that came at pretty soon, but then it was also that place of pity, like, well, it's unfortunate that she had to go through the things that she went through, and so feeling that compassion for her. I guess better than pity, it was compassion. And pity and understanding are definitely part of the process. It's actually when someone has hurt you really badly, you're able to forgive it. When you pity them or you have that compassion for them because of their own experiences, it takes it outside of you and puts it in a better place. So then, about 3.5 years ago, our daughter Ariel, she ended up having she got married to our son-in-law Preston, and she wanted to have my sister-in-law be there to help with the wedding. And so we were able to, I moved through some more forgiveness work, and I came out with actual love for her, and which was not me. It was bigger than me. There's no way that I could have had just complete love for her no matter what. And while they were here, we were in the car, Ariel, our daughter, and my sister-in-law and myself, and she started crying, and she said, I just have to tell you that I am so very sorry, and I have so much shame about what I did, and I can't believe you've forgiven me. And I said, well, I want you to know that I have forgiven you and that you need to forgive yourself. And that was a pretty powerful moment for both of us. And I'm here to tell you that, and so that was 3.5 years ago, and our relationship has just gotten better and better, and my brother and sister-in-law actually call us to ask us questions about how to deal with their teenage daughter since we've been there. So it's pretty powerful forgiveness work. So I can't tell you how quickly your forgiveness will work depending on the situation. There are levels of it. There's the layers of the onion. For me, it took me many, many, many layers to get to the place where I am today with my sister-in-law. With everybody else, and with Jamie, I forgave him right away. And that seems a little bit crazy, but I did. I was able to forgive him right away. I did not trust him for a couple of years. It took a couple of years for the trust to come back. But of course, we decided to stay in our relationship. And we've been married, coming June 12th, we've been married for 27 years. And I can tell you, it just keeps getting better and better because we continue to have compassion and empathy and release. And so, yeah, it is for me, it was a very scientific and spiritual experience, the forgiveness that I was able to attain. And like I said, my love for my sister-in-law had more to do with something outside of myself than it had to do with me. And I can't explain that. And everybody's experience is different, and everybody's spiritual experience is different. And so it's an important thing. Spirituality is an important thing, whatever that looks like. And that can be just taking on the south side of the wheel and saying, I want to live in love, peace, power, and joy. Just that can launch you into an amazing spiritual experience.
Okay, so the website is passionprovokers.com. Typing it in the chat here. And so we have they sprung a production meeting on us at the last minute here, so we have to get going. We are recording these lectures. Last week's lecture is available on our website, passionprovokers.com. Look under Tools, and there's a button called SL Presentations. And last week's lecture is there. And so that's all we have for today. Thank you, KJ, for recording. We sure appreciate that. It's fantastic. We are always open for questions and comments. You're always welcome to give us an I am anytime. Thank you all for coming today.
Thank you all. It's our pleasure to be a part of this journey with you.